Hello everybody, I'm Lynn. This is going to be my first official discussion about the movies. And what I want to talk about tonight was some of the Oscar nominations. I would first like to discuss the best actors. Jeff Bridges for Crazy Heart, George Clooney for Up in the Air, Jeremy Renner for The Hurt Locker, Morgan Freeman for Invictus, and Colin Firth for A Single Man. I've now seen 4 out of the 5 of those performances. Before, I had only seen A Single Man, and I love Colin Firth. It's a little bit of a, well, it's not a curse. I just adore him. I've loved a lot of the films that he's been in. But now that I've seen almost all the performances except for Morgan Freeman, but I believe Invictus has possibly just gotten out to DVD recently, I have a better opinion on everything. Morgan Freeman, I love, everybody loves him. His voice is now becoming legendary, and I know he's gotten an Oscar before. Now that might be something that can count against him because he's the only one in this category currently with an Oscar. So that could be something that they're going to determine as, okay, he has his Oscar already, we might want to look at all the other categories. But of course his performance, if you've seen the film, maybe you might have a better opinion, so let me know. I have also seen The Hurt Locker. Jeremy Renner, it was a really good film because, of course, if you understand, it's about the bomb squad battalion working in Iraq during 2004. And he's the main person who goes out there, disarms the bombs, and stops all the bad stuff from happening. It was a really good role. It was a really great movie. But I was looking up a lot of the awards that had gone for that film, and Jeremy Renner has been nominated a lot of the time. From the few that I looked at, he hadn't won, and the only other one that I saw for acting that The Hurt Locker had received for Best Ensemble. I do agree with that because Jeremy Renner does stick out very well in that film, but I don't know if it was the strongest performance out of the other ones that I've seen. Now, for A Single Man, Colin Firth playing a British professor in the early 1960s who's dealing with the loss of his lover, played by Matthew Goode. I believe that was a very, very good film. I'm a little bit biased, I can't help it. That was the first one out of all these performances that I had seen. He actually did a very great job. I read some reviews discussing the fact that people were saying, oh, they kind of, cut down on the gay in the film. I haven't read the book because it is actually based off of a book, but I believe that he did a very fine performance with that film. It was very moving. The cinematography was great. That I can discuss in another video, but I believe his performance was well warranted. It pulled a lot of emotion. Then there was Jeff Bridges in Crazy Heart. I've now seen that film. I hadn't seen it before when I made a vlog about that, and his performance was fantastic. The film specifically is about a a country music star who is, up there in ages. He's not getting the big gigs anymore, and he's dealing with the fact that he's basically washed up. He's not getting really any more big tours. He's doing small dive bars, this and so on. And he meets a lovely interviewer, and it kind of stirs things up. Well, Jeff Bridges did a fantastic job. I was almost moved to tears in some points during his performance, but I did sit there and watch it extensively. I also enjoyed the fact that he also did his own singing, as well as his co-star Colin Farrell, who played, I think it was Tommy Sweet. They both did their own singing, which does warrant a lot of extra credit for them because, of course, to sing in a film, you've got to take a little bit extra time, whereas they can always do something very simple and find somebody and just sing for you. And his performance was very moving. It was very touching. I seriously even want to go out and buy the soundtrack. The last film is Up in the Air with George Clooney. Now, if you haven't seen Up in the Air, it is about a man who goes around, he's basically the outsourced man. If you've seen the movie Office Space, he's the guy that you go and call when you have to do some cutbacks in your employment area. Basically, he comes in, he fires people for you, and then he leaves. I very much enjoyed this performance. It kind of plays that role that George Clooney kind of does do a lot, where he's kind of aloof. He's got the comical thing going for him. I know George Clooney as well also has an Oscar, but I believe it was for directing. I don't believe this could have been the strongest work for him to get an actual Oscar. We will always see, because sometimes they do take into account, when they do give out the Oscars, someone's body of work. So out of all the 5 nominees for Best Actor, I am really probably still going with either Jeff Bridges or Colin Firth. 10-1, Jeff Bridges has won it for the Golden Globes, so he will probably take the nice statuette on Oscar night. Now, I'm still rooting for Colin Firth though, because I love him. I think he's adorable.